Let's go to the garbage juice because there was a
I'm with
couple
you.
of quarterbacks that had some really bad games.
Well, there's a handful at the least. But where are we going to
Handful.
start? Because I know in pre-production meeting we had the same two quarterbacks that happened to
did.
play for the same exact team,
We did.
and I think they deserve to be talked about because I mean the garbage juice can be as big of a bucket as we need it to be, and this week it needs to be pretty large. But I mean these two guys deserve to hold residence and maybe bring their head coach along with them. Maybe all three of them just kind of hang out in there. You know, who are we talking
Oh my
about, Brandon?
goodness.
Let the folks know who we're talking about.
We're talking about Mac Jones and Bailey
Trash.
Zappi.
More
Absolute
trash.
dog water.
So much trash. How can one quarterback room be so bad? How can it be so bad?
No preparation, man. This comes down to it. You're an NFL quarterback. You get paid millions of dollars. It's your job to figure it out. And especially the way you played, both of you aren't really giving yourself an opportunity to grab this position by the gonads and make it happen. You saw a guy by the name of Thomas Brady do it for 20 plus years. You have enough film. You see the videos, right? How do you not take this opportunity and just run with it? Neither of you did. I mean, right now, it was pretty pathetic between the two of them. I mean, they combined for a total passing of 136 yards and a 33.4 QBR rating with combined 3 INTs. Gentlemen.
Zappy threw 54 yards, bro. 54.
Bro,
54 yards.
That is a recipe for disaster.
It's not good.
And you have a team in the Giants who, if you watch the Giants play this year, they can play a little tough, right? Thibodeau's doing really well. But they also go off on people, especially Dak has his best games versus the Giants, right? And I know I'm going to talk enough about the Cowboy junk, but, man, you guys have got to figure it out because they're about to draft a quarterback. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. You're not prepared. You don't have any emotion. I don't see any fight with you.
Matter?
There's no leadership. It looks terrible.
If they draft Caleb Williams, let's say, and I don't think we don't think he's the number one draft pick. So
no, not at all.
Let's say they get Penix. Does it matter? Let's say they get JJ McCarthy. Does it matter? Let's say they get Jaden Daniels. Does it matter? Because you still have Bill Belichick, and the regime there in New England seems like they haven't been able to do a thing since Tom Brady packed his bags and walked out the building. So does it matter who the quarterback is, or do they need to change everything from the top down?
That system's outdated. Bill Belichick has to adapt to the new era of guys. That system's outdated. I mean, they've talked about it quite a bit on TV, but, I mean, I'll just go to say this isn't old school football anymore, man. These guys are a little bit more sensitive, right? They carry a lot of their feelings on their sleeves, right? And we can all be emotional at some given point. But one of the things that you have to do as a quarterback, man, you cannot let a team see you sweat, period. You can have emotion built behind it, but when it doesn't transfer to the field, it lets you know that these guys aren't in it. The screen's shaking the entire time. And Bill Belichick probably makes it a complete disaster by keeping the switch guys in and out. If you're a guy who's got some skins in the game, such as Mac Jones, I mean, you walk in the door, man, and you just say, hey, like, ride with me, period. Because you can't keep going back and forth. They draft you in the first round, like, have some nuts, bro. You can have a talk.
Do you think the Patriots failed Mac Jones to some degree, though? I mean, last
year, absolutely.
He didn't even have an offensive coordinator.
Yes, absolutely. I think getting OB helps because Tom had one of his best years with OB. But outside of that, man, Tom Brady studied the game. You can tell when quarterbacks just go out there and are winging it. And Mac Jones was winging it. I mean, we just had Coach on last week said Alabama doesn't have QB coaches. They don't develop their QB. So when you get into the league and you have to learn how to change protections, et cetera, you guys are in this really pass-heavy offense. You've got to make those checks. And if you can't do that and deliver on time, you are going to drown at the next level. You just are, and you got to figure it out.
Came into the NFL behind the curve anyway because he played at Alabama, coming in behind the curve and not having a mentor in the room, not having a offensive coach in the room. That didn't help him because Bill Belichick said, well, I'm Bill Belichick. This is the New England way. This is the Patriot way. We just win. So just go out there and win. And that was not successful for Mac Jones.
Or maybe he was just challenged and Mac couldn't adapt to it, what they were
True.
asking him to do.
Maybe.
Because maybe didn't you hear Cam Newton didn't have to read defenses and checks at the line
Oh,
until he got to New England?
until we
So
got to
maybe
New England.
there's a huge learning curve in the college game that really hinders Mac Jones from exceeding to a higher level.
Because
Maybe
he's
he's
not
capped
athletic.
right now.
He doesn't have
I mean,
the traits
yeah,
that can overcome that, right? He's not athletic. He
no,
doesn't have a super
no.
strong arm. He's mediocre to blah when you watch him play. And his career is probably over with. He might be a career backup. That's not a bad way
I
to
mean,
make
they
a
were
living
4
in
of
the NFL.
14 on the third down, man. They were 4 of 13. They're only
Not all
averaging their
bad.
passing yards 3.7 yards per play. It's not good. You're sacked. You're sacked twice. I mean, yes, sacks can come and go. You're 50% on red zone. I mean, the key was the turnovers in that game, and you can't keep turning the ball over,
No.
guys. You just
Yeah.
can't do that. That's a lack of preparation to me when you step into a place like that. And
This
you should
run.
know this. You should know this type of team because this type of coaching staff played in Buffalo at a time, right? So you should kind of know their tendencies as far as what they're doing. But man, this is I know it's out of your conference, but you can't go lay an egg like that. And now you're about to go run into, a team that's probably gonna end you with the Chargers. They can throw all over the place. I mean, they're 4-7, they're struggling,
Well,
but you guys definitely aren't doing yourself any favor. So, I mean, that's what I have for garbage juice. I mean, that is
yeah.
bad.
I
That is
had I
bad
had the
play. That's the
same
worst
thing.
play of the year.
Well,
Congratulations, shitbirds.
I had the same thing, the same two quarterbacks, but
Yeah.
without diving into it too briefly, let's just throw some other guys in the garbage juice as well, because Sam Howell was pretty terrible this weekend. Derek Carr was pretty terrible this weekend.
He's
Both
bad.
quarterbacks in
Tua
the
was bad.
Bengals
Tua wasn't good.
Bengals Steeler game, bad. Tua, not great. It's a good
I mean,
quarterback
he had
play in
2
that Texans
picks.
Houston game. I like that quarterback play there. Good quarterback play in the Indianapolis Tampa Bay game. Um,
It
Terrible
was
quarterback
mid.
play in Carolina with Bryce Young. I mean, just horrendous quarterback play there.
What do you think is going on with Bryce Young right now? What's going on? I don't think it's because he's too small. Because if you look at his stats, he was 18 of 31, 194 yards, no touchdowns, but no interceptions. So what is going on? Is he getting sacked too much?
He's
What's
getting
your
hit a lot.
thoughts?
He's getting hit a
He's
lot.
getting he's taking a beating.
I don't. What is his skill set? What is it? Is it I get rid of the ball quickly? Well, if that's the case, I mean, he does great on their screen game and their short game, their quick game. But when you talk about the intermediate game, he's not good at going from 1 to 2. He's holding the ball an awful lot, which is why he's getting hit quite a lot. His offensive line isn't very good. I don't think getting rid of Frank Reich was the right move. That's a quarterback guy who has tremendous success in this league with quarterbacks. And I think at the very least, you give him an opportunity for the entire year to continue to work with Bryce Young. That's going to be a developmental project, and that's an organization that is in a complete rebuild. Their draft picks don't even go to them this year. They go to Chicago, so they're losing for no reason. The Bears are going to get their draft pick, and man, they're going to be in it for a while. Bryce Young, unfortunately, was a guy I thought needed to go to a team and develop, and he ends up going to a team where he has to play right away, and they're not very good. And he doesn't have a lot of athletic traits to cover up the fact that they're not very good up front. So I think that's a lot of it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's sacked 40 times. That's what stands out to me.
Yeah.
They have
That's
they have
not
yet to
all to
score
do
over
with the O
24
line,
points
is it?
in an entire game. I don't think I look at his feet. His feet are very slow. His feet are
Yeah.
tied to the game like it was at Alabama. You can get away with that. In the NFL, you got to deliver it at least in 2.5 to 7 seconds. You got to get rid of the ball. I think that's hindering him from taking long shots. Thielen obviously is doing what he can, despite him being a little older. But I'm seeing him on pace for 15 touchdowns, 14 picks. Man, that's it. That isn't good. And you're the 29th ranked player as a QBR. You're already small. Now, granted, I'll give you credit. You stood in there.
Yeah.
You stood in there and taken every shot. So
He keeps getting
he
back up
needs
somehow.
I think he's in a really bad organization because they've had 5 coaches in like 3 years,
Yeah,
and
bad
that owner
organization.
has no idea what he's doing in
No clue.
football.
Agreed.
Like, he's a high risk, high reward guy. If you look at the gentleman's backstory, I mean, it's all like, oh man, he had a nice come up, but to be honest, I mean, he gambled a lot, and so maybe he's gambling for the right coach to come in with Bryce Young. But I also think that Frank Wright, from what people are saying, is he did not want Bryce Young. He
Hmm.
wanted CJ Stroud,
Oh,
and the GM made the move.
so
And
maybe
so,
they should have fired the GM instead of the head
but
coach.
but it's hard to believe that when you put out a video about the traits of a quarterback, what you're looking for. Just he said that Bryce Young has exactly the traits he's looking for. They said he's different than everyone in the draft, but if you can't get rid of the ball on time, come on, man. Like, you're struggling. Like, you're smaller than Brock Purdy, and we all know Brock Purdy looks small out there.
Right.
But Brock's
He-
getting it done. He doesn't have the best offensive line either, man. Jimmy used to get sacked all the time in this offense, all the time. You've got to learn to deliver the mail in a timely manner and get your team and get your guys adjusted to where they need to go. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's I mean, he's got some of those, your typical Alabama quarterback traits. He's got to be smart because he's basically had to teach himself, as we've learned now. Nick Saban doesn't
Oh,
he
that's
doesn't
messed
really
up.
he doesn't really work on development of his quarterbacks, but he you look at his face, you look at his demeanor, he's always the same guy. He's always super calm, he's not rattled, he doesn't get frazzled in the pocket or anything of that nature. I think he's got all that going for him. I think he's a good leader. I think he probably works extremely hard, and I bet he watches a ton of film. The problem is, I think he's limited. And then when you put that on top of bad feet and you put that on top of a poor offensive line with just a poor organization around you, with just Adam Thielen as your number one receiver, I don't think that's a good recipe for success.
That's tough,
And
man. So do they go get Marvin Harrison in the first pick?
well, they won't be able to because their pick is going to be the Bears' pick, so the Bears will take Marvin Harrison. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh man, I forgot about that. What idiots are you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Not only did we get DJ Moore, but we're going to go ahead and get Marvin Harrison too. So
Oh
Chicago's
man,
going to
Ohio
pick up
State
this year,
reunion.
right?
Oh
With
Lord.
with Justin Fields, that's going to be something special in Chicago next year. Thanks to Carolina. So I appreciate Carolina continue to suck, and
Let it be a
I hope they,
slapdick. There you go.
yeah, just keep being terrible. That's great.